is 2023, 2020 me, and we're focusing on putting ourselves first in this year. And for many of us, that means reclaiming your inner voice. You know, that trusting those hunches that you get, those sudden nonverbal insights that we all apparently have, according to our next guest. It's called like an intuition. So I was talking to my team when we were doing this show. I'll take you behind the scenes. And we were saying, do you believe you have intuition? And I said, I learned to go with I call it my spidey sense. I was walking down the street one day. I had my handbag on my arm, and I looked over at this person, and I went, And before I knew it, he was dragging me down the street with my bag. And that moment, I said, I will never deny a hunch, because there was something in that moment, my body declared there was a threat. And before I knew it, I was dragged down the street. And thank goodness my friend Marcy, shout out Marcy, you saved my life, I owe you. She was there that day with me. And so today we're meeting people who say listening to your intuition can change your life for the better. It doesn't have to be as extreme as what I went through. It can even be in dating. You know, the gut tells you that's the right one. Is that the right one? Well, my first guest says we all have intuition, the ability to read more of what's happening in our world, and he's been doing it at another level for nearly decades, 4 decades to be exact, bringing clarity, closure, and connection for people who have lost loved ones. John Edwards is a psychic medium, New York Times best-selling author, and his fans include people like Kim Kardashian, even Oprah Winfrey. And he says listening to our inner voice harnesses our subconscious knowledge and can help us make better decisions and more easily create the change in our lives that we want. This winter, John is hitting the road, crisscrossing across the country on this massive world tour. Look at the audience size of people that he gets. It's a big world tour, but he's coming by to see us first. Please welcome John Edwards to the Tam Fam. Have a seat. Oh. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you.
So listen, I'll get it out. I love, again, taking people behind the scenes of what happens with the show.
Okay.
The last couple of years have been a lot of articles criticizing daytime TV of the past for having psychics on. They're, this is, unfair. This is not real. And my team said, what do you think? I said, well, it's not for me to think, because if people want to believe in something, they have a right to believe in that. So I want to get that off. I am not going to litigate whether it's real or not, because you have a special connection with many, many people who believe in what you do. Right now, you're going to crisscross across the country.
I am.
How do you prepare for that? Because that's taking a lot. They're putting their hopes and expectations into you.
Right.
How do you balance that?
For me, it's about teaching. So like my role is whenever I'm doing anything, whether it be being here today, doing a Zoom group, doing a live event, going live on TikTok.
Yeah.
My goal is always to leave people better than I find them, and the only way I can do that is with information. So one of the things now, you said, I was doing this for 4 decades, and I am, but when I was a kid, starting at 15.
You were 15
I was
when
15.
Yeah.
My grandmother would get upset because she would hear me say to my clients as they were leaving, you don't need me. Like, you don't really need me. And they would leave, and she'd be like, what's your problem? You're gonna have no business. You're telling people like they don't need you. And I'm like, but they don't need me. I said, I'm getting in the way of what's already there.
What do you mean by that? Because you're the medium.
Right, I'm the medium. I'm the phone. So when you have a great conversation with a friend, you had a great conversation with a friend. You don't hang up the phone with the friend and go, oh, my iPhone, or oh, my Android, right? You're just the phone. So I recognize what my role is. My role is a medium. I'm a bridge, a conduit. That's all I do.
So when you were also, in the beginning, you were skeptical of this ability.
I'm still skeptical of how people utilize the ability.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so when the pandemic started, I went to the dismay of my teenage children on TikTok, where I was told I'm not allowed to be because I'm too old. Yeah. So I had to hide the fact that I was like on TikTok, but I wasn't on TikTok. I was just watching dogs, pranks, like fun stuff.
The stuff we all watch.
Yeah, and it got me through like a good portion of it. And then one night, I didn't know that they can go live, like people can go live there. And I came across what I thought was a parody. And I'm like lying in bed watching this woman do readings. And it was so fake. And it aggravated me that I was like, I can't say what I was like, but I was like that. And I was like, she's gonna make me get up and turn this camera around. And I did. Not that night, the next day when I like blew dry my hair out. But like I turned the camera on and I went live on TikTok because I felt like I have to do here now what I would do on TV or what I would do live, which is teach and demonstrate by example and not go, this person's not real. But if I could demonstrate what it should look like, then it's gonna make it harder for people like that.
Okay, so coming up, John will demonstrate what it should look like and talk to us all about the intuition he believes exists within all of us. More with John Edward after the break. Welcome back. We're talking about the power of intuition with world-renowned psychic medium John Edward. So the question is, do we all have intuition?
We all have intuition, and I always want people to pay attention to, like you did in your story, like pay attention to what it is that you're thinking and feeling, and then almost become somewhat observant of yourself. In other words, like don't kind of like rationalize it away, and also don't read more into it. Just kind of be like, that's interesting. What does that possibly mean?
And you say we can tune into this by like walking or meditating or sitting in silence to tap into our prayer and our intuition.
Prayer, people get some of their greatest downloads in the shower.
Yeah.
Because they're like relaxed and focusing, or they're taking a bath and all of a sudden they have this like thing that pops in. And it can be something subtle like, oh, I haven't thought about my friend Christine. And then
you call them, or she calls you.
Or on the way here today, she sends me an email. Like that.
I love that we say in the South, your ears must be burning, because we were talking about you. There are these little notions that way. You have 2 children.
I do.
And you said you're, was a tiger psychic dad?
I am like a tiger psychic dad, yes.
So you are you able to, because I would be mortified if my dad was a psychic. The things I got away with that I wouldn't have gotten away with. Does it work that way for you?
It's more I use energetic principles to parent. So it's about communication and about helping them understand who they are, whether, from their astrological sign and what their astrological chart looks like, their numerology, understanding energy, how energy interacts, understanding like what our roles are and how we're going to interact with people and during the teenage years, peer pressure, and understanding how your actions have consequences and ripple effects. So I call it energetic parenting, but yeah,
fascinating.
I'm a hoverer.
So we gave our members of the Tam Fam an opportunity. We said, do you want a reading? And as you can imagine, many absolutely said they were interested. And here's a clip of what happened.
Okay, before we begin, first I just want to say thank you to Tamron for allowing me to do this. And did somebody have a story where they were like stuck on the highway or
My
pulled
son
over?
was in an accident.
And your son's passed?
Yes, he's passed.
Was he an organ donor, Maria?
Yes, he was.
He's jumping up and down going, oh my God, oh my God. Like 3 people got helped. 3 people got helped. Somebody got his heart? Because he's making me feel like somebody either recorded the heartbeat for you so that you can have it on something.
I have his heartbeat in a teddy bear.
And then did you lose a husband too?
Yes.
Because your husband's here. Who has the Catholic background, Eileen?
I'm Irish Catholic.
They're holding up rosary beads for me. So,
Oh, that's my mother.
Okay. I feel like there's got to be another mom energy for you.
I was adopted and I
Gotcha.
never met my biological mother.
Did you find siblings?
Yes, I did. 5 of them, but there's only 2 still living.
And then did you just go to the Caribbean?
Yes.
Which is the place where you fell off the curb, where you lost your shoe?
Can't remember.
Stephanie, I think your dad's back.
Uh-oh.
Is there some funny rice story with him? I don't know.
Oh,
he's
he
bringing
always
up-
bought too much rice. He used to buy like the huge bags so we would have
Okay.
it.
What's your birthday, just day and month, Crystal?
August 25th.
You're in a good year. And I'm just looking at your energy. You're in a year of expansion and taking on more responsibilities and fertility. It could be fertile ideas, like planting seeds.
Okay.
It could be a book.
Okay. I love when you told Crystal fertility, and she's like, wait, you're wrong, sir. And then you said, I did. You said, right.
I'm laughing because I remember her reaction, and I was
So,
like,
you're there on Zoom.
right. And by the way, just full disclosure, that was like almost 2 hours worth
Yeah,
of
that
readings.
was a-
And
that
these
was
are
a clip
These
of
are
what-
highlights, but we went much deeper.
Those were highlights. But for example, with the Tam Fam member, her father with rice.
Right.
How did that come to you?
I see it. So it's like I see, hear, and feel energy. They're like thoughts, and then I kind of pay attention. So like if I was sitting here reading a client, I would probably look at that screen over there, and then that would be my focus. And then whatever it is that I'm kind of seeing in my mind, I then talk about. But I tie it into what it means to me. So there's an interpretation aspect that sometimes kind of goes a little bit awry. So like,
But like, how do you know she fell off of a curb?
'cause I saw it.
You saw
Yeah,
it.
I see images and flashes, and then sometimes I'll get stuff through TV movies. I'll see stuff that anything in my frame of reference is open game. Sometimes
Right.
it's like family dynamics,
Right.
things in the past, like
Yeah.
you know,
Because I mean, again, I love taking you behind the scenes. The team said, "Do you want him to do it?" And I said, "No," I'm going to stand on that because
and I appreciate that because as a journalist,
I just
you
don't.
have to remain objective.
Well,
so
no,
that-
I've left that behind. I'm going to always tell my real opinion. When your name's on the show, you get to tell the truth, and I'm telling the truth to you. And that there are just things. I think it's very possible. I think it is very real, and there are things that I don't want to
Right.
think about that
Right.
perhaps you could see.
Correct.
And that I don't want to think about.
Correct.
So that's why I've always declined it.
Right.
And but for
But you know how to find me, so
I know how to find you.
You know where I am now.
There might be a call. I have a bat phone call. What was so stirring for me and the team, Maria, who was in that, the guest who was talking about her son, Nick, who passed away. His heart saved the life of a 14-year-old who was desperate for a transplant. She was a guest on our show. There are many conversations that people don't want to have. Are you prepared not to share things?
So if I'm doing a session for someone, one of the things that I ask them to do is to be as transparent with me because I don't want to get stuck on something. So if something's coming through, I actually need them to validate it, not in great detail. So if they say something to me, like if I get something that's private and personal, what's kind of been cool in the Zoom years of doing this work, I can actually chat to a person and say, just direct message them on the Zoom, hey, blah, 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 blah.
Have you ever seen something and held it and wish you'd shared it?
If I see it, hear it, feel it, I will say it. So if there's something that's not supposed to come through that I can't help the person with, that they're not supposed to deal with, or they can't change, I actually don't want to know.
Wow,
I don't want to know.
it's fascinating.
So I don't like reading family, so I don't want to know.
Look at, as you can see, I've leaned further and further back because I feel like proximity doesn't matter though, clearly with Zoom, because I am almost at the edge of the stage now.
But this is important for people that are watching this. If anybody walks up to you or on social media and says, I have a message for you and it's unsolicited, stop them.
Stop,
Because it's like somebody going into your handbag and looking in your wallet. It's not appropriate to enter someone's vibration without their permission.
Fascinating. Well, John, thank you so
Thank you.
much for joining us. Maria, Crystal, Eileen, Stephanie, and Shirley, thank you for agreeing to spend the time with John. And by the way, you're kicking off your tour. It's 2023 across the country. You're doing live readings, cities around the U.S.
Starting in California on Saturday.
Starting in California.
Friday.
How do you reset? I mean, this is 2023, 2020 me. How do you reset taking on so many expectations from others?
Self-care and boundaries. I think 2023 for everybody is going to be a year of accountability and creating healthy boundaries.
I like that. Thank you, John. Thank you so much. Go to TamronHallShow.com to find out how you can get tickets to John's upcoming tour.